This is another multi-purpose scene. First, Alex is visibly shaken, which once again humanizes her. But she also states the player's goal for the second half of the game: climb to the surface and get to the train station.
Így hát ismétlem, hagyják el a 17.
This is another multi-purpose scene. First, Alex is visibly shaken, which once again humanizes her. But she also states the player's goal for the second half of the game: climb to the surface and get to the train station.
Így hát ismétlem, hagyják el a 17-es várost azonnali hatállyal, vagy hamarabb. Ezt nem...
This is another multi-purpose scene. First, Alex is visibly shaken, which once again humanizes her. But she also states the player's goal for the second half of the game: climb to the surface and get to the train station.
Jól van. Hát... ez nehezebb lesz, mint gondoltam. Most már egy csónakban nevezünk a többi menekültel. Gyalog az állomásig. Irány a felszín. Vigyázz! Lövegeket hallok. Semmit se látok. A lámpa nélkül vakon tapogatózom. Át kell jutni az ajtón. Franc, elektromos zár. Hogyan nyissuk ki? Lássuk, találunk-e elosztódobozt. Hé, egy szellőző! Felmegszólnak rólad és a szellőzőkről. Dr. Kleiner mesélte, ha kizárta magát az irodából. Te meg Barney azon versenyeztetek, ki tud hamarabb bejutni kulcs nélkül. Mi ez a szag?
Before we armed players with traditional weapons, we wanted to give them a chance to appreciate Alex's combat abilities. Toward that goal, we created a very specific combat style for the early parts of the journey outside the Citadel. Dark, tense, surrounded by zombies, and either weaponless or starved for ammo, so that players needed to rely on the gravity gun, and more importantly, Alex. This is where players finally get a weapon. Since the door only opens when the padlock is shot, players can't proceed without finding the pistol. It's effectively a weapon gate. Once players are through the door, we can be sure they've got a pistol.
Originally, the player couldn't operate the power boxes, and would have to wait for Alex to do it. We thought it'd be entertaining to watch Alex do some cool thing while you protected her. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. Playtesters were more annoyed than entertained. The other problem was that having Alex committed to a particular activity while action was still going on in the world tended to quickly expose her most robotic tendencies. She'd either ignore what was going on, or completely stop whatever activity the player was waiting for her to finish. Either way, it was unconvincing and frustrating. What we learned here was that whenever Alex commits to some action in a dynamic environment, she needs to finish it quickly and move on.
Szép munka! Még fegyvert is találtál.
The darkness in this area has a few real gameplay benefits. It slows the player down, which most of the time keeps Alex at your side. The claustrophobia, the close-in combat, and Alex's constant presence and reliance on your flashlight help enhance the tension and your sense of camaraderie. In the dark, the limited flashlight battery adds an extra layer of resource management to the tactics of combat.
Tartsd a fényt a zombin! Tartsd rajta a fényt!
Initially, the player wasn't going to have a weapon here. The combination of no weapon and near total darkness forced the player to use the flashlight to direct Alex's fire. We liked the idea that you could interact with Alex in a meaningful way, using elements that were already built into the interface. Unfortunately, playtesters didn't like not having a weapon, so we added weapons back in. Luckily, it turned out that, even armed, players tended to still use and enjoy the flashlight mechanic.
Rémsáskák itt, a kombány védőmezeje összeomlott. Biztos a Citadella láthatta el Könnyebb rájuk lőnöm, ha feldöntöd őket, Gordon. Ez egy őrvonatnak tűnik.
If you don't like Alex, you're not going to have much fun with Episode 1, so Alex being likable was one of our most crucial design goals. Little moments like the Zombine joke are designed to make Alex more endearing. Since we like to multitask, it also had the practical purpose of introducing a new monster. The success of the scene relied on a combination of dialogue, voice acting, and animation. Surprisingly, lighting was really important too. Under red light, Alex's self-deprecating groan looked more like she was sneering at the player for not getting the joke. Changing the lighting to blue and then adjusting the direction of the light so that it changed the shadows of her face fixed the problem. If you don't like Alex, you're not going to have much fun.
It's important that monsters get very deliberate introductions, since players are going to interact with them a lot. Generally, we let the player first see a new monster in a safe environment, so they can start thinking about it before they have to fight it.
The soundtrack here was created for the introduction of a new adversary, the Combine Zombie, or Zombine. Discordant guitar tones and bends and a lo-fi fast beat work in the background of this encounter to create an off-balance and disturbing mood.
We always try to exploit a feature as much as possible throughout a game. For instance, these flares. They're an exploration reward, they've got a simple, satisfying interaction with the gravity gun, and they're a good tactical alternative to the flashlight. Finally, they're a weapon that will ignite zombies, which in turn become a new light source.
For Episode 1, we implemented a scripting component called the Response Rules System for dynamically managing NPC speech. We wanted to take NPC speech out of the hands of the programmers and let the writers control it. The writers were able to set up a wide range of situationally triggered character responses. For instance, Alex has different reactions to different enemies. can warn the player of danger, calls for help when she's mobbed, and will ask for light. The combat responses worked out great, but it's especially satisfying when Alex's comments on some situation mirror your own thoughts. The writers really went crazy with this, so be on the lookout for lots of little Easter egg responses to unusual situations.
Lövés.
Poison headcrabs are ideal for ambushes because they startle you but can't actually kill you. Here, after a series of right-hand turns, you round the corner into a dead end. While you're cracking open a box of goodies, you're ambushed by poison headcrab. Constructing the ambush this way increased the odds that you wouldn't see the crab, but you would hear it just in time to turn around as it leapt at your head.
Automata orvosi rendszer aktív. Morfium adagolva.
The antlion hole training is unusual because it requires the player to learn a new skill in combat. This is a rare case where training occurs under duress, so Alex states the problem and helps in the fight without giving away the solution.
A részecskek jönnek ide fel. Jó ötlet, Gordon. Nem hittem volna, hogy így is be lehet tömni őket. Tartsd a fényt a falférgen!
You fight alongside Alex for much of Episode 1, so her combat really needed to look varied and exciting. We especially wanted to get her into some kind of convincing physical contact with her enemies. We'd always wanted to do this kind of dynamic character interactions, but getting the NPCs into position for their interactions has a pretty wide-ranging set of problems. So we ended up taking an opportunistic approach for Episode 1, where instead of figuring out how to maneuver characters into proximity, the system monitors their positions and fires the appropriate animations whenever it notices that they're correctly aligned. Given how well these interactions worked out between Alex and zombies, headcrabs and antlions, we're really looking forward to extending this kind of behavior to all of our NPCs.